And welcome back to the Cam Rodgers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. I am Cam Rodgers. Thank you guys for tuning into the program. I saw Tyler as one of the first comments. As always, Tyler, shout out to you, my friend. Hope you're enjoying the show. All right, so my top story here this morning. This came out from Adam Schefter through the wires a few moments ago. Tom Brady has yet to commit to playing in the 2018 NFL season. Here's what one source told ESPN, quote, "My money would be on him playing football for the foreseeable future, but what goes on away from the football field, I don't know." This is big stuff, ladies and gentlemen, because it's just another chapter in the saga that is the New England Patriots offseason so far. You got Rob Gronkowski mulling retirement. You got the Alex Guerrero situation. You've got these trades that have happened recently with Brandon Cooks shipping on out. Of course, the Jimmy G trade from last year, which was a point of contention for Bill Belichick. Now, Brady has not given official word, publicly or privately, whether or not he will play. Now, he has been focusing on his charity of late, so that's a big reason why he hasn't kind of been in the public fold here, talking about the New England Patriots and the franchise. Now, the thing with Tom Brady is this. So he is, for now, not showing up for voluntary workouts. That is the first time since 2010 that Tom Brady has not showed up for voluntary workouts. Who can tell me the number one song back in 2010? That is my homework for you guys here on the Cam Rodgers Show. We're going back 8 years right now. All right, maybe it's Firework by Katy Perry. Maybe we're feeling OMG by will.i.am. Now, I have my top 4 reasons why Tom Brady could retire here in 2018. And I want to start things off with the obvious one. Just wants to spend time with his family. Now, we got a little glimpse into the life of Tom Brady with the Tom versus Time documentary and all of this. And there is reason to believe Tom Brady wants to spend time with those that he loves. You know, Giselle and his kids and all of this, and, you know, his immediate family and all that stuff. So that's part of the equation for sure. And the grueling duties of being a professional football player cannot be overlooked. We're talking about players that were still playing at a high level last year that have retired. You got Joe Thomas of the Cleveland Browns. And James Harrison was still playing pretty well when he was playing for the New England Patriots last year. Heck, he started in the Super Bowl, guys. So it's like not beyond the fathom of imagination here that Tom Brady could retire in 2018. So the first things first is his family. Second, Brady may want to focus more on his business. TB12, the therapy center, and all of that. He has worked very closely with Alex Guerrero, his body coach, and Guerrero has also worked with Patriots players, much to the dismay of Bill Belichick, the ultimate micromanager, if you will. I'll talk about him later. But Brady has this side gig now, which maybe is growing into more of a gig or, you know, as high of a priority as being an NFL football player. Just a fact. And, you know, Brady has been working closely with a lot of the players with the New England Patriots to kind of be a part of the TB12 methodology, if you will, and the life of being a TB12 client. Rob Gronkowski included. Also a point of contention within the Patriots organization, more specifically, Bill Belichick. I talked about it on the show before. Gronk mulling retirement, Bill Belichick thinking to life perhaps without Rob Gronkowski, Gronk, you know, being thrown in trade rumors, and the list goes on. So TB12 is reason number 2. Reason number 3, like I mentioned, Rob Gronkowski is mulling retirement himself. Danny Amendola left for the Miami Dolphins. Brandon Cooks is now a member of the Los Angeles Rams. Turnover is happening in New England. And perhaps Brady just sees a window right now where it makes sense for him to hang him up. Now, let me just say this as I continue along with my arguments that Tom Brady could retire in 2018. I don't personally think he will. And the story that came out this morning from Adam Schefter points in a direction that he won't retire. With that said, it is worthy of discussion here because there are reasons, as you see on your screen, that support the idea that Tom Brady could retire. So the turnover in New England is notable. And there have been reports that Gronk and Brady are kind of like hand in hand right now, like a package deal. Gronk wants to come back if Brady is the quarterback, and I'm sure Brady wants to come back, especially if Gronk is still there as the starting tight end. Just kind of works hand in hand. By the way, hit me up in the comments section if you think Tom Brady will retire this offseason. If you think I'm crazy, just go ahead and tell me so. Now, reason number 4, and perhaps the biggest reason of all, the ongoing tension in the trifecta that is Brady, Belichick, and Robert Kraft. And who's at the center of it all? Alex Guerrero, Tom Brady's body coach, at TB12. Like I have said before on today's show and before on past shows, Bill Belichick wants to manage his players to a T. He wants all his players to follow the Patriot way, the Patriot path. And if they don't follow that path, you're in the doghouse. Just look at Super Bowl 52, Malcolm Butler. And benching him because of some petty little thing that Bill Belichick probably had on his mind and decided to bench him and essentially threw away a chance at capturing a Super Bowl. Essentially. And that probably, and we have heard reports, that has rubbed the players the wrong way, where players are starting to feel like maybe Bill Belichick is getting a little too power hungry. Maybe things are getting to his head a little bit. And by the way, he's not going to say anything to the media. He'll have these press conferences, and he'll say 2 words and all this stuff, and we'll just be like, you know what, Bill? We really know what's going on. We really know what's going on in your head right now. You are sensing some rickety foundations here within the Patriots organization because Brady apparently is not committed to playing 2018. Gronk is mulling retirement. Amendola went to Miami. Gronk went on Instagram, put in his caption, oh my God, Amendola, go be free, go be happy, all caps and happy and free. What does that mean? Maybe the Patriots players don't feel free and happy. So it's like all of this stuff is stacking up. And to use an analogy here, you know the tip of the iceberg? The sea level is lowering and lowering and lowering. And the iceberg is becoming more visible. And we have more information about the tensions within the Patriots organization, and that is paving the way for perhaps other teams in the AFC to capture AFC supremacy. Talking about the Steelers, the Jaguars, my Baltimore Ravens, and Joe Flacco, who could perhaps get Dez Bryant on the outside. It's all stacking up here, ladies and gentlemen. I am sensing the moon and its gravitational pull and the tide turning. Things are changing in the NFL, okay? Where other teams out there are now seeing an opportunity to become their own dynasty. And maybe the Patriots are crumbling all before us. All right, folks, you're watching the Cam Rodgers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. How about that for a dramatic ending to that little note? You're watching a special 90-second episode of today's show, sponsored by the Game Time app. Head on to chatsports.com/tickets. Get up to 60% off all those last-minute sports tickets, concert tickets, and so much more. We love Game Time, and we thank them for sponsoring today's show. Plenty more headlines to get to from one quarterback to another. How about Aaron Rodgers? Oh, poor Aaron. Growing frustrated with the Packers leadership because he's not in the know with recent personnel decisions. So, according to Yahoo Sports, Rodgers was left in the dark in regards to the release of Jordy Nelson and the change at the quarterback's coach. Rodgers has, of course, publicly denied this. Of course he would. Why would he say anything else? So the ongoing contract discussion with Rodgers is also a point of contention for the star quarterback. Rodgers reportedly thinks Tom Brady has say in Patriots personnel decisions, or that Peyton Manning had say in the Broncos and the Colts personnel decisions, but they really didn't. They did not. I mean, do you think Tom Brady would have wanted Brandon Cooks to be traded? Probably not. So apparently Rodgers kind of wants some of that. Now, if it's just a matter of Rodgers wanting a heads up, which is also a possibility because these are just reports, not coming right from Rodgers, then I get that. It's like, would you want to walk into your apartment after work to find your roommate throwing a party? Perhaps you wouldn't care, but a heads up would have been better, right? So, I mean, it's kind of the same principle here. So I think that's kind of what Aaron Rodgers is going for. Like, instead of finding out on Twitter that Jordy Nelson has been released, he would rather have to hear it from, like, McCarthy. You know, it's kind of one of those deals, and I get that. So Rodgers' contract runs through 2019. After that, the Packers could, if they wanted to, tag him and then tag him again. Rodgers would be 38 after that second tag. So he'll get $20.3 million this year, $20.5 million next year, at least $25.3 million, $3 million in 2018 under the tag, and at least $30.38 million in 2021 under another tag. So that equates to an average of $24 million. So in essence, Rodgers really doesn't have the leverage here. He can't afford to be all pouty about this stuff because if the Packers really wanted to, they could pull, Washington Redskins and just tag and kick the can down the road. So the Packers could easily go that route. Now Rodgers could retire prematurely, hope the Packers find a replacement, and then trade him. Kind of like, that guy named Brett Favre, right? So I'm thinking maybe Aaron Rodgers should probably be in the good graces of Packers leadership here and, understand that they don't have to shell out a lot of money for this guy. Now, they probably will because we all know how the quarterback market has gone of late with Kirk Cousins getting big-time money and all this stuff. So something to keep in mind there. Aaron Rodgers wants to be in the know, ladies and gentlemen. So something to keep in mind. And he was, again, speaking to the media yesterday, I do believe, and he denied all of that stuff. So, analyze with what you will. All right, let's get to the next headline here. Some more news about Odell Beckham Jr. So according to Jarvis Landry, who was roomies with Odell at LSU, Odell is going to remain with the New York Giants. Landry said he has come to the realization that Odell won't be traded and that he's going to remain with Big Blue because Landry actually tried to court Odell to come to the Cleveland Browns, and Landry tried to make the Browns trade for him and all of this stuff. And when he realized that that wasn't going to happen, so he realizes that he's going to stay with the Giants. Now, some of the best sourcing out there is actually friends of players. And so there's no reason to think that Jarvis Landry would actually lie about this or make something up. The guy's best friends with Odell. So this could be the nail in the coffin that Odell Beckham Jr. is not getting traded. Now, with that said, there is a difference between what Odell wants and what Dave Gettleman wants and what he hears through the phone wires in terms of a trade. Now, I still firmly believe that Odell is going to stay with the Giants, but you never really know. Now, OBJ, as we know, has yet to sign a new contract of any sort. I don't see a team shelling out the asking price of the Giants for Odell Beckham Jr., so I don't see like the 49ers coming out of nowhere and, giving the Giants a big-time treasure chest here. But Odell Beckham Jr., just imagine him, Sterling Shepard, you got Brandon Marshall still on the team, and this guy, Dez Bryant. Could he stay in the NFC East and go to the Giants? Tyler in the comment section saying OBJ will win Comeback Player of the Year. Well, if Dez is there on the team, that could certainly aid in the production of Odell Beckham Jr. because now you got to concentrate on a plethora of good wide receivers. So Dez reportedly talked to Mike Fisher of 105.3 The Fan, saying he's very interested in the Giants as his next team. Mike Fisher concluded that the Giants are his top choice. Dez did not say that from his mouth. Fisher, according to his analysis, believes that the Giants are the top destination for Dez. Now, Dez, in talking about the Giants, referenced Odell Beckham Jr., Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and Eli Manning all together, saying that basically he thinks this offense can be really, really good. So, the problem is the Giants only have $5 million in salary cap space, so some sort of cut has to go down. I always thought the Giants were going to cut Brandon Marshall, to be honest with you guys. Injury-riddled year last year, good amount of cap savings if they cut him, and then maybe that paves the way for Dez Bryant. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. But unless Dez is okay with the league minimum, it just doesn't make much sense for him to go to the Giants. It makes more sense, financially speaking, for him to go to the Washington Redskins. They have the most salary cap space in that division. Dez reportedly is willing to take less money for his top choice, though, so something to bear in mind. DeAndre Hopkins has different plans. He recently took to Twitter and tweeted out this picture here of Dez Bryant. There he is, 88, Houston Texans jersey. I'm telling you guys, he looks pretty good on that. And Dez can stay local there. The only problem is you can't play the Dallas Cowboys twice a year if that is the case. Now, with that said, the Texans do have a good amount of salary cap space, so they can shell out some money here for Dez. They also have a couple of good wide receivers in their own right. DeAndre Hopkins, right? And then Will Fuller as well. Imagine Dez as that mid-tier, maybe borderline wide receiver number 2, probably wide receiver number 3 for the Houston Texans. It's not too bad if you think about it. And then you got Deshaun Watson coming back. Some other teams he did not rule out. The New England Patriots are in the mix. I think personally the 49ers and the Colts are part of the discussion as well. Think about teams that, 1, having need at wide receiver, and 2, have the salary cap space where they can pay Dez $12.5 million if they really wanted to. Now, I don't think that's probably the case. Dez is probably going to make closer to $7 or $8 million for next season. I don't think any team out there will give him the full-on salary that he was set to make with the Dallas Cowboys this season. I just don't think so. So there you go. Dez Bryant reportedly keeping the Giants in high graces on his list, but don't rule out Colts, 49ers, got the Seahawks as well. You know, after Doug Baldwin there, the depth chart really drops off with Marcus Johnson, like Tyler Lockett. Texans, though, I just showed you guys that picture there, so keep all those teams in mind. Maybe the Redskins. I just don't see it. I don't think Dez really wants to go to Washington, but certainly a team that has a good amount of salary cap space as well. Marcus thinks the 49ers. Marcus, I'm thinking it's possible, my man, so stay tuned on that one. All right, next headline here. Joe Flacco is set to put in extra work with his wide receivers. Yes, my guy. You guys know Joe Flacco is my boy. You guys know I'm a Ravens fan. Actually, it's funny. I posted a segment, I believe, a couple days ago, and you guys recall that I said Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback, and somebody in the comments section said, you actually think Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback? Does anybody understand humor anymore? I hope you guys laugh sometimes when you watch my show. All right? I understand it's Wednesday, it's early, you guys are just waking up, but come on, laugh with me. I obviously don't think Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback. Do I think he is a good quarterback? Yes, I do. The problem is Joe Flacco was not very good in 2017. Had the back injury in the preseason and all of this stuff. So in that vein, Joe Flacco is set to put in extra work with the likes of Michael Crabtree and John Brown and Brashad Perriman. This actually very uncommon for Joe. He usually doesn't go the extra mile and put in the overtime work, if you will, with his wide receivers. So this is very good news. Now, John Harbaugh hinted at wanting Joe to do this, so maybe that was kind of part of the equation here. But for the Baltimore Ravens, this is a year of reckoning for them. It's been a 3-year playoff drought. They nearly got to the playoffs last year, except I hate Andy Dalton so much. He ruined it for us. And so, you know, I think John Harbaugh, Joe Flacco, a lot of these players and coaches are on the chopping block. Let me know in the comments section, by the way, will Joe Flacco win another Super Bowl? Give me a heart for yes, give me a like for no. If you like me, you're going to give me a heart. If you don't like me, then I guess you're giving out a no there. Please tell me something positive. So perhaps Flacco feels some fire under his butt, if you will, after a really bad 2017 season. And given the amount of money that he makes, he best be putting in some extra work. I'll tell you that much. Coming from a Ravens fan, he better be putting in this work. As somebody who made the argument with Dez Bryant about return on investment with his $12.5 million and not living up to the $12.5 million production level, Joe Flacco has not met his $20+ million cap number either. So, you know, I'm keeping it unbiased. I think he needs to live up to the amount of money that he is making. And he has not done that ever since really 2014. So we'll see what happens. The Ravens got to address the offensive line as well, especially at center with Ryan Jensen there, moving on over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Joe Flacco putting in extra work with his wide receivers there. We got the draft coming up very soon, guys, and one of the premier defenders in the NFL has chimed in on Bradley Chubb. How about this, guys? Von Miller has said that he thinks Bradley Chubb is Khalil Mack and himself put together. So Miller is a 6-time Pro Bowler and a former Super Bowl MVP. Mack is a 3-time Pro Bowler and a former NFL Defensive Player of the Year. So can we just anoint Bradley Chubb as a Hall of Famer now? Like, that's where we're headed here if we're going off of Miller's analysis. Now, I haven't seen much personally in terms of mock drafts and rumors and all that about the Broncos talking and perhaps bringing in Bradley Chubb at number 5 overall. They have other needs. Baker Mayfield maybe could be there at number 5. Could go Quentin Nelson. They have to address the offensive line. I don't think Bradley Chubb really should be drafted by the Broncos, but if he is there at 5, it's going to be tempting. Where will Bradley Chubb get drafted? Let me know in the comment section below. Everybody chiming in here. We got Roy watching the show, Mario. We got Tyler, of course, as always. King, only here for Brady. I'll talk about more about Tom Brady later. Stay tuned for that, King. So with Von Miller, big time praise for Bradley Chubb. Just, some fodder there for you Denver Broncos fans. Stay tuned. Now, there has been buzz out there that maybe the Broncos trade back from number 5 if one of their core quarterbacks is not available. Who is comprised of that core, we really don't know. I'm thinking Baker, and I'm thinking maybe Darnold and Rosen. But we'll see. Von Miller with some high praise there. Okay, let's get to what happened yesterday. Roger Goodell has officially been questioned in the Colin Kaepernick collusion case. You guys knew this was going to happen because I reported it on Monday, and sure enough, it went down yesterday. So Colin Kaepernick was actually present for the deposition all morning. So TMZ Sports released a video of Cap walking into the league offices. And so Goodell, Jerry Jones, John Harbaugh, Ozzie Newsome, and Bob McNair have all been questioned in the Colin and Kaepernick collusion case, where Kaepernick is essentially saying that all 32 NFL owners came together and tried to keep Kaepernick out of the NFL. Now, it is very tough to prove that. You guys know that, of course, because you have watched my show before, and I've talked about how proving collusion is an uphill battle. But let me know what you think in the reaction poll. Will Colin Kaepernick win his collusion case versus the NFL? Give me a heart for yes, a like for no. And Pete Carroll is reportedly up next in terms of being questioned in this case. So the collusion case goes on, and you guys have actually raised a lot of good points about the ongoing Colin Kaepernick situation. I know a lot of you guys have referenced how if you are suing your employer, will your employer bring you back? Like, I am within the camp that it probably wasn't a good idea for Colin Kaepernick to raise this collusion case, unless he's content with not returning to the NFL. But also, now that I think about this, I'm kind of like outthinking myself here. Maybe Colin Kaepernick, by doing this, is putting pressure on the owners to, essentially get one of the teams to sign him. So there are two flips to the coin with this, and it's a situation that obviously will drag on because collusion cases usually go on for quite a while. And we'll see what happens with the arbitrator here within the NFL in this collusion case really comes up with. But Colin Kaepernick, as we know, right now was sitting there with Roger Goodell as he was getting deposed yesterday morning. So there you go. We'll see what happens going forward there. All right, let's get to the next headline here. Earl Thomas has skipped workouts. So he reportedly skipped the voluntary workouts. Again, these are voluntary, so they're not required per se. And that was on a Monday. He's got an ongoing contract situation. Earl Thomas is set to enter the final season of his 4-year, $40 million contract, slated to earn $8.5 million in base salary this year. Earl Thomas, he wants security. If you were a top-line player like him, why wouldn't you? And it's also a big-time reason why Aaron Rodgers is growing contentious within the Packers organization that he hasn't gotten his contract squared away yet either. So Earl Thomas to the Dallas Cowboys. Should the Cowboys trade for E.T.? Give me a heart for you hope so. I assume you're a Dallas Cowboys fan if you were throwing out your heart. If you are probably a Giants fan, a Redskins fan, Eagles fan, you're probably giving up that like. You hope not. So, as mentioned, voluntary workouts. There's really no point for him to be going anyway because he is the top-line player, and I'm sure he's working out on his own time. The required workouts, so keep an eye on these dates here, guys, June 12th through the 14th, all right? So if Earl doesn't show up for those mandatory workouts, mandatory minicamp as they put it, then things will get very, very interesting. To the NFC East, talk a little bit about Carson Wentz. He chatted with the media yesterday, progressing well in rehab. He said he won't rush the rehab process with, of course, that ACL injury that he dealt with last year. No exact timetable, Eagles fans, but he said he is taking it slow, and understandably so. It's only mid-April here. Wentz was perhaps the MVP favorite before injuring himself last year. Threw for 3,296 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks, while completing 60% of his passes in those 13 games. Also rushed for 299 yards at the same time. Also said, this is an interesting point here that he made, doesn't feel the need to play in the preseason. Really? You sure about that, Carson? I'm thinking game reps are probably important. I mean, I can speak from experience. My quarterback, Joe Flacco, skipped the entire preseason last year, and he wasn't very good in 2017. So, interesting point there. But also, I wasn't in the MVP discussion in the NFL last year, so what the heck do I know? Carson Wentz progressing with his rehab. More quarterback news here. Jameis Winston got his fifth-year option picked up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Winston will make $20.92 million, which is guaranteed against injury. He set career lows last year, though, in yards and touchdowns with only 19. He did miss 3 games due to a shoulder injury. Ian Rappaport noted that Winston's relationship with head coach Dirk Cutter is not in a very good place. It's actually amazing that they brought Cutter back, by the way. I can't believe he's a head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. Winston now has 2 full seasons, if you will, before being slated to hit free agency. So he's got this year, and then he's got the 5th-year option for 2019. So a good amount of sample size here for Winston to pick it up and bounce back from last year's performance. He's getting better. His completion percentage is actually really good in 2017. If he can just keep himself healthy, and I'm thinking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will continue to address the offensive line via the draft. They already have through free agency. I'm thinking a good year is coming from Jameis. Now, there were some outside factors in 2017 that held him back as well. I mean, you got to look at the run game. The run game was awful. Doug Martin was brutally bad. Mike Evans was just iffy. It wasn't his typical Mike Evans elite type of campaign. And then there were some pass protection issues as well. And then Jameis Winston and his AC joint injury that paved the way for the gunslinger himself, Ryan Fitzpatrick, to play quarterback. So a lot of factors went into 2017. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and its leadership are not worried at all about that. They gave Winston the 5-year option there. All right, how about some Brett Favre news here? Reportedly failed his Monday Night Football audition. So, of course, John Gruden is now a head coach in the National Football League. So ESPN is currently going through auditions here for the next Monday Night Football analyst. And they brought in Brett Favre, and it didn't go very well, according to reports out there. He was reportedly told that he's no longer under consideration. Sources said that Favre was, quote, not great during the tryout. Now, some candidates who are being considered include the following: Rex Ryan, who is currently employed by ESPN, former NFL defensive tackle Booger McFarland, former NFL quarterback Kurt Warner, also Matt Hasselbeck, former NFL executive Louis Riddick, and recently retired offensive tackle Joe Thomas. What if Jay Cutler was the analyst for Monday Night Football? He was almost a broadcaster for Fox Sports last year until Adam Gase pried him out of retirement. Who knows? Greg Olsen, Jason Witten were also brought in for auditions, a couple of current players. ESPN really wanted Peyton Manning to be the analyst, and he was probably the white whale, if you will, to be the color commentator there. Did not work out. He reportedly declined. So there you go, Brett Favre. You probably won't see him in a broadcast booth anytime soon, but you might see him in the XFL. JK. All right, let's get to the next headline here. Ziggy Ansah signed his franchise tag. Big-time news for you Lions fans out there. That gives him a guaranteed salary of $17.14 million this season. If the Lions don't work out a long-term deal, which they can do by July 16th, he'll either hit unrestricted free agency next year or he'll be guaranteed a 20% pay raise, essentially the second tag, if you will, which would mean a guaranteed salary of $20.57 million next year. Now, last year, Ansah had an up-and-down season with 3 different 3 sacks games and then 3 sacks like spread out the rest of the season. 12 sacks in total, which is a good number on the surface. But Ansah was kind of back and forth here in terms of consistency in 2017. So kind of something to keep in mind there with Ziggy. Obviously, the Lions need pass rushing help. They struggled mightily to create sacks last year. Outside of Ziggy, wasn't very good. So we'll see what they do via the draft as well. They got Matt Patricia there as the head coach. Good defensive mind.